أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وسيق الذين اتقوا ربهم إلى الجنة زمرا حتى إذا جاءوها وفتحت أبوابها وقال لهم خزنتها سلام عليكم طبتم فادخلوها خالدين. وقالوا الحمد لله الذي صدقنا وعده وقالوا الحمد لله الذي صدقنا وعده وأورثنا الأرض نتبوأ من الجنة حيث نشاء فنعم أجر العاملين. وسيق الذين اتقوا ربهم إلى الجنة زمرا حتى إذا جاءوها وفتحت أبوابها وقال لهم خزنتها سلام عليكم طبتم وقال لهم خزنتها سلام عليكم طبتم فادخلوها خالدين. وقالوا الحمد لله وقالوا الحمد لله وقالوا الحمد لله حتى وقالوا الحمد لله وقالوا الحمد لله الذي صدقنا وعده وقالوا الحمد لله الذي صدقنا وعده وأورثنا الأرض نتبوأ من الجنة حيث نشاء فنعم أجر العاملين وترى الملائكة حافين من حول العرش يسبحون بحمد ربهم وقضي بينهم بالحق وقيل الحمد لله رب العالمين صدق الله العظيم
تكبير.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم
أهلا وسهلا ومرحبا بكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. اليوم 7 من محرم 1447 هجري والموافق يوم الخميس. ما شاء الله تبارك الله. May Allah Ta'ala grant you nur, barakat in your lives, to your parents, your grandparents, spouses, and all the beautiful souls that has been a part of your journey in this dimension of which we recognize as the planet called Earth. As we navigate through this beautiful moment of 1447 Hijri, it is how the soul tribes, we conscious tribes, those of us that lives in the higher realms of the eternal realms, those of us that are cosmologically attuned and aligned to the cosmic transitions that happens in your real time, not in your hallucinated times. Okay. So you're never supposed to remain in sub A. You're always supposed to climb the ladder and get to sub B and grade 2 and grade 3. Your Allah, your God, your Prophet that you never ever met in this dimension had given you a task to fulfill. Okay, a purpose to uphold and a contract that you had to transact in. That's your currency. That's why you were given the insight. Okay. Now, most of us are still in sub A. Okay. Most of us cannot still say where we came from. We are using a scientific module of the Big Bang, which has really sent you into a massive bang. Okay, so your scientific analysis of your beliefs is contrary to your religious beliefs, and therefore both is cancelled. So you as a civilization are currently sitting godless. Okay. So this is the allegory, the parable of Nabi, of the understanding of Abraham. Okay. Abraham was never a man. The Arabs, the Jews, the Christians, yani, they manipulated these things after many centuries, and now in 2020, the Arabs did it. Yani, they were the last to have yani, come in the equation of the pyramid scheme, okay, where they finally also yani, took the flight into a dark space. Okay, so most of us that are following religion have very little understanding of what really the Quran is. Okay, very little. Most of us have studied in Al Azhar, in Saudi Arabia, in Lebanon, in all these different Yemen, in all these places, but these are yani it is small time colonization of religion. Okay, if you understand what I'm saying, okay, because at a given time in a civilization, in the in the ages, yani different nations, different regions goes through different upgrades. Not everybody gets it at the same time. Okay, and they would use that to their advantage, but at the same time, they would also abuse it, and they would go into the different countries and enslave those people, and psychologically as well as economically and politically. Okay, that's what the Arabs did. That's what the Germans did. That is what the Crusaders did. That is what is currently done by those who are following religions. The religions are the antichrists, the antichrist. That is those people who are following religion today. They are the very people that is against the expansion and the upgrade of the human conscious, because they remained in sub A, in grade 1, and when there came a change for a new order in the heavens, in the conscious, where your conscious was no longer fit to serve an old version of a truth, and now in a digital age where your children will be living for the next 1,000 years of civilizations, a shift had come in the altered state of the human experience, okay, in their conscious. So now the stories that we were told about Adam has to be scripted, okay. You can no longer realize that it was a physical human being. You got to understand that your children are living inside a digital age. Inside, okay? So you are outside and they are inside. So they are given a new scope of a knowledge and of a psychology that is going to be directly in violation of your and my understanding that we believe that they were physical prophets. Okay. That is how Allah says, فَيَكِيدُونَ كَيْدًا فَمَهِّلِ الْكَافِرِينَ أَمْهِلْهُمْ رُوَيْدًا. What you are now going to realize, and I am going to understand, is that whatever you thought that stories of history where you learned it in sub A is no longer valid in sub B. Okay, that which you learned in sub A is now a lie in comparison to what your children are going to learn about Nabi Musa. Okay, let me just tell you how it's going to work. So there's definitely sure that these two civilizations is parting, and the truths that you are holding in your mind, where you're going to in Jannah, what's going to happen to you in the grave, hy gaan uitspeel net soos hy geglo het. But you're going to go back to hell. Okay. Your children now are going to be the pioneers that is going to master the advent in this time of how the new conjure of how what was a prophet, what was the meaning of a rasul, was he a physical encounter that how could God, for example, he says, Allah says in the Quran, كانوا يقتلون الأنبياء بغير حق. Look, people, your scholars has no idea what is happening. They are in, in a very dark hole at the moment. Okay, look, these are researched works. Yani, it's not here. Yani, if it comes from Allah, you cannot do it as a job. I see a jobby. Yani, those who are like doing this as a job, yani, where they're exchanging money and they're taking money out of the platforms and from the mimbars and from the churches, from the pulpits. That's a job for them, people. They're just doing a job. They've got no other commitments other than receiving a salary. Okay. Regardless of how sincere they are, they are still subjects of whether it be a political or a religious or economic system. Okay. This thing wants what Allah says, وَلَوْلَا نَفَرٌ مِّن كُلِّ فِرْقَةٍ مِّنْهُمْ طَائِفَةٌ لِيَتَفَقَّهُوا فِي الدِّينِ. Here you need people that has no commitments, no attachments to any political parties, any political systems, any economic systems, okay, any religious systems. They must be free of any of this for them not to be biased, because at this moment in time, okay, they have to understand that biasness is actually counting against them. All right. So if you are unbiased, if you cannot just think of it in your light, which means you have to uproot of all the everything you ever believed in your entire life, you have to have it removed. You have to cleanse from all that invasions, that cultural issues. You gotta clear your mind. You gotta you gotta strip yourself. Okay. That's what is needed at this moment, because all of you are in a very julle is in a deep spell. In a deep spell, people. In a deep spell. If you understand what really has happened in this last 6 years of your lives. Okay. All the gods that you ever believed in was massacred in your lives, because that truth was defamed, it was dismantled. Okay. And those who has been given the right of passing the finding the exit, and getting the upgrades of a new understanding of divinity, of religion, of deen, of your ancestors, of your country, of your history. All of that has to be now remodeled in your civilizations since COVID, people, Now, many of you that died in COVID, when I say died, I say when you went into hospitals, when you stayed out, you all visited, you all had the malakul maut came into your lives. It's just you thought you can run away from death. Okay. Many, all of us died, but many of us, little of us could make it out alive. Now, there are those of us that made it alive out of this, this demolition. Okay. What we mean about making it out, finding a new reality, a new truth, because at the moment, most of you are only following what you are seeing through a digital age, and you only went back to the past. You went and ignited something that was it was ditched, but you went and made it alive by yourself. That's why you cannot hold your parents responsible. You cannot hold the old people responsible, because they served their time. That's why God split the times now, so that that choice was yours. Do you want to be a mushrik? Do you want to know something? Go into something you have no idea what it meant. You just followed it blindly. This time now you had a choice. Okay. Now, let me just give you an understanding as to where you are at the moment in the physiological world, in the real world, people, not in the Jahannam where we are currently residing as a matter of a destroyed civilization. Okay. Your Quran's methodologies is now being upgraded for your digital age children, where they will understand that the message has only come to them and not to a nation. Okay. They will understand that Musa is themselves. Musa is when you go through the purging process. Okay. Musa is no physical being in this age. Musa is a experience of how the human psychology, how the human biology, how the human biofields are modeled and created by Allah Ta'ala. The chemicals that is inside of your body, the blood vessels, the white and the red blood cells, the chromosomes, the gallbladder. This is what the Quran is going to be now modulating in terms of our understanding as human beings. Okay? So, the moose in Arabic actually means something which you shave off. Okay, something which is peeled off. That is moose. Now, this time around, now the allegories, the parables, the metaphors that our children are going to understand. Look, they are much more intellectually activated due to the digital platforms. Okay, and the qualifications that they have been sustained in the secular, secure realism worlds. Okay, they've made capitalism practical in their lives. They don't have a problem with capitalism. They have a problem with communism. They don't want to share. They don't want to be the same. They don't want to be like you were, your cousin, your brother, your neighbor. You can share with them. There's no problem. Your mother can ask the next money for a half a copy suiker. There's no problem. Your next generation, they are pure capitalists. Okay, they work with riba. Okay, most of your children are swiping the cards. Okay, now you have no backup for the situation. You planted them there. Okay, now you gave them just a religion just so that they can have an exit for their conscience to be killed in the process. Okay, that in this new age is not going to work, because the truth now is going to be remoduling the fact that the human brains and the Musa and the Harun, the right side, the psychic ability, the deeper insight, the wisdom is now going to be activated in your children as early as what they are. You're not going to have it. Your wisdom is cut off because you chose a money god over a natural process, a natural god. They will testify to this, but be that what it may, that's not our business. For me, it's just now for you to understand that how the Musa process supposed to have taken place as we are going through the 6 years where you had gone through the purging process. You're no longer taking another nation to be a chosen nation. There is no Israel in this narrative where the person holds a piece of land. No, there is now an ascension process that is taking place, not a descendant process. Okay, um, so your scholars at the moment, they are actually sanctioning a a a a colonial version of a religion for a human being that is no longer in his physical amber trap. He is now in a digital space. Okay, you don't get your electric or your water bills anymore through the post. You get it now via your email, because you're living on a different dimension. Okay, it's no more the earth that is on the bottom, is now a different episode that you have to now realize that the psychology of the human brain is now in a different dimension. Okay, so the Musa allegory, the Musa, everybody has to go through that. You have to go through the Musa to find Muhammad. You cannot believe in Muhammad if you cannot embrace the evolution of Musa physiologically and neurologically. It's conscious. You gotta upgrade your conscious here, guys. Okay, you gotta fix the engine here. Okay, um, so that is all chemicals. It's all chemicals in our minds. It's how Allah had created us. When the right brain and the left brain, that is now the Harun and the Musa. Okay, in the Quran. Okay, if you are able to get out of that capture where you were taught by your scholars that that was an age, you have to by yourself get into out of that cot and get into your new electric car now. Okay, people, 99% of your scholars has no idea what is happening here for real. The only problem you're sitting with is that when you're supposed to leave at this moment in time from this dimension, you have no other choice but to stay permanently in hell because you didn't upgrade your operational systems. You still believe you must get out of a grave. It's not going to work like that. So everything, like I said last on Monday, everything comes only from within you. Nothing is happening on the outside. It's your imbalances that has caught you unaware and unprepared on the outside. That's why you cannot come in. Okay, you cannot die because you are dead already. You cannot embrace the concept of why Musa has to kill his old version of himself. Doesn't kill a man, people. What your scholars are telling you is a crazy story. It's the Jews that it's a different time. Okay, so you have to kill the reality, the mindset that you had in the past. That is the rajulan, the man that he kills and then he is sought because the reality that became what became of a reality could no longer live with it because it became godless, like what you are currently living in your lives. Okay, regardless whether you have religion is only adding fuel to the fire because you don't know who you are. Okay, so the Quran is now giving you an explanation of an internalized process which you have to digest now. Only those who read the book, people, those who follow their hawa, they have to follow human beings, and that human beings becomes their mushriks because they are sharing somebody else which your Allah had given you complete authority and complete access to have upgraded. You chose to know, I don't trust Allah's work, I'm going to trust another human being's work. Okay, that has caused you to choose man over God, okay, over Allah. So those who were successful to have completed the stage of Musa, where the purging and where you expanded and where the right and the rational brain and the reasoning brain and the conscious wisdom generator had now merged. Okay, now this is where you now will understand a different uh, a different kind of understanding of what Jannah is now, because once you get into or once you pass the Musa stage of your conscious journey, that is most like that is the physical earth. That's where that's why you get so much. The Quran is actually it didn't reveal directly onto Muhammad. It's a story that Allah tells you in the heavens where there is no time about your journey. And the first phase of the journey is that you are going to be Musa. You're going to encounter the events in your life, okay, in your physiological, sociological, and in your biological affair. If you clean your guts and you clean your lymphatic systems, okay, you're not addicted to bionic systems, okay, then that means that you're going to attract a different currency, a different frequency, and a different difference. You're not gonna know the people you used to know in the past, because now you've upgraded yourself. Not that you are choosing to not know people, it's how the channels works in the heavens. You all must go through it, and most of you are living in denial of it, because you have denied your evolution of having to upgrade, to improve. You just worried about the running because you don't want to die. You need to first die to get to understand what life is. Okay, so those of us that has gone through this process, it's a lot of human beings that since COVID that unplugged from that illusion. Okay, and they are now remodeling a new Holocaust where they can co-create what they understand as what the Quran means, and what the another nation could not invade your divine presence of how your parents, how your mother, how your ancestors had and he molded you in unbelieving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What has happened in your lives is that there came too much conscious traders from the Middle East, okay? That they came with the understanding of separating and dividing your people, okay? And they also made religion into a commercial entity where the people would have to pay all the time, but they had no guarantees. So, in this new age, like, the new children will not have to leave their sovereign lands, their sovereign space, because they would have direct access in their sovereign selves to Allah, to the Nabi, to Musa, to Ibrahim, because they are not physical beings anymore. Okay, like the avatar world, their history is now going to be upgraded, and your parents past history will be removed. They will be like an idolic jahiliya system. We will not look back at them, because our grade of psychology is now being wa antumul a'launa in kuntum mu'minin. That's what is happening in real time, real time. Okay, so, yani, your body at the moment, people, you had to get through this important part of your life to get into Jannah's main diaphragms. Okay, the conjure, the stream, the channeling of how Jannah is actually moduled in a frequency. Okay, um, what the things we hear, the risk is things that we take in, the information, the data, because we send out and we receive in our biological formats, because that is what the Wi-Fi is actually all about in our natural order. The Western civilization used the human body and the human functionality to mimic a digital world on the outside, but it's actually just happening on the inside. But you are, just because you're on a low frequency, you believe that that is the reality, but it's not. It's not. I tell you, it's not. This is it's a lick as a sware pillow to slip so at the moment, because that which you think that you were the master, you hold the horns, you are the chairman, you are the president, as nou alles leens mense. Wallahi al-azim, is all lies. Nou, hoe gaan hy man afstaan van hy in die pulpit? Hoe gaan hy sê hy het vir die mense gelieg? Hy moet nou aanhou lieg. Nou die kinders gaan vir hom curse, because hy weet dat hy vertel iets wat hy nie reg het om te vertel nie. But nou, hy wil nie die mense sien nie, because hy gaan nou dink, man, wat gaan die mense sê van my? Even as ek, wat ek sê nou is die waarheid. Hy kan nie sê vir sy eie mense is die waarheid nie because hy het 'n klas hy package verkoop al. So this is the actual thing where they speak about yani the leadership, yani the ruhban, those who pursue the spiritual realms of religion, yani they were only but commercializing this thing, whether it be the Vatican, whether it be the Jews or the Arabs, all of them, it's just a money making scandal at the moment because none of you could find or phone Allah to solve the Palestinians' problem. It's plain and simple, people. Don't hide, don't use philosophy, don't use qadr. And it's strict. Something is wrong, the God must save it. God must, unless we in hell. And He cannot do anything in hell, so we have to change our address. That's where we are sitting now. Now, your grandchildren, their philosophy and their psychology, it's going to leave you behind is what you believe of your great grandfather that you didn't meet, that he was not a Muslim. Now, your great grandchildren will believe the same about you. Kyk hierso, what goes around comes around. That's it. That's how the system works. It's all just in your mind. It's all just inside of your mind. So you have to get yourself pretty ready to explain to yourself where Jahannam is. Because when you live constantly with a plastic card, you know, and you accept everything that is just happening without having to question it, my friend, you have just opened yourself an account in hell, but you just make it compliant, Sharia. Okay. Your next generation will write down you as a civilization, me as a civilization, as being those who has misled their children a into Jahannam because they were in Jahannam. Okay, so be cognizant, people. Yeah, and it's all happening inside of us. There are many who knows what is happening here, but they didn't come here to notify you. They go on with their thing. They just go there and they do their thing because they have no reason to worry about you. Okay, um, and yani, this is how things will eventually unfold in your lives where everybody is going to go and hide and lock themselves up yani, because they are in Jahannam, people. In Jannah you live free, there's safety there. But no, if Jannah is not physical, then where are you caught up in the physical world? In Jahannam. That's why you have to hide cameras, TVs. You have to hide because you can't come inside. Now, this philosophy psychology, it's gonna haunt you as your children now. Like you didn't meet your great grandfather, but in your mind you believe Allah was a Muslim because Jay's a Muslim. Nou jou grandchildren, great grandchildren gaan dieselfde ding van jou, van wat die curses, dis die generational curse. As jy jou groot oupa curse, dan gaan jou kleinkinders vir jou curse psychologically. This is what you've come here for. You've come here to take your rewards and your punishments equally. Okay. We don't want bad for anybody. We just need you to understand that the split of the conscious ages and the unconscious ages is in your presence. It's just you're living in denial and you're being kept distracted through religions, through wars, through imperial forces. And all of that is because you cannot come in. You're 50, 60, 70 years old, but you cannot understand one word that Allah put in the Quran, but you've got 100,000 rand in your account of riba. Nou, wie is J? Is J means of is J jinn? You must ask, be honest, say honestly who are you? So that your children can be honest when they tell God what was your profile all about in earth. Because this is the time when you have to be honest to yourself. This is why you are so living in anxiety. That's why there is so much of suspense upstairs here. Because something is about to explode inside of us. Anyway, it's again time for Puka. May Allah accept sisters and brothers, and may have a beautiful iftar this evening, and barakah to our parents. And see you later on for the dhikr, inshallah. Shukran jazilan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
يا مصطفى كل شيء